It doesn't start with debt. It starts with energy. Average Joe finishes work at 6:14 p.m. His shoulders are tight, his phone battery is low, so is his patience. He opens a food app, not because he's hungry, because his brain is done. He thinks, I'll cook tomorrow. That sentence quietly costs him thousands. Let me explain. Joe works hard. He shows up, pays rent, handles responsibilities. From the outside, he looks stable. Inside, he's running on fumes. And here's something nobody tells you. When your energy drops, your future stops mattering. Your brain switches to survival mode. Not dramatic survival, small survival, comfort survival, now survival. Psychologists call this decision fatigue. But Joe doesn't know that. All he knows is he's tired, so he orders wings. Every day, Joe makes about 35,000 decisions. Most are tiny. What to wear, what to eat, whether to walk or Uber, whether to cook or tap a screen. Each one drains a little battery. By evening, that battery is empty, and empty brains don't plan. They soothe. This is why Joe keeps promising himself he'll save next month, because in the morning, he's logical. At night, he's emotional. Morning Joe wants stability. Night Joe wants relief. Night Joe always wins. Here's where the trap begins. Joe thinks money problems come from big mistakes, a bad investment, a massive purchase, a financial emergency. But for most people, it comes from patterns. Tiny comforts repeated daily. $12 lunches, $6 coffees, $18 deliveries, subscriptions he forgot existed. Each one feels harmless. Together, they become heavy. But Joe never sees the total. He only sees today. Joe tracks his rent. He knows his car payments. He feels responsible doing that. But nobody teaches you to track emotional spending. Nobody shows you how stress leaks into wallets. So Joe doesn't notice that every bad day costs him $25. Every exhausted night costs him $40. Every I deserve this moment costs future Joe. One night, Joe opens his bank app. He expects reassurance. Instead, his stomach drops. Where did it go? He scrolls. Fast food, streaming, convenience stores, late night impulse buys. Nothing looks serious, but everything adds up. He closes the app. He doesn't want to feel that right now. He tells himself tomorrow will be different. Here's the dangerous part. Joe doesn't feel broke. He feels busy. He feels normal. Everyone around him lives the same way. Social media says this is adulthood, so Joe assumes he's doing fine. If any of this feels uncomfortably familiar, take 1 second and like the video. Not for me, but because recognizing the pattern is the first crack in it. Back to Joe. He buys groceries with good intentions. They expire while he orders pizza. Again, not because he's careless, because he's depleted. And depleted people don't make long-term choices. They make right-now choices. Joe tells himself raises will fix it, side hustles will fix it, motivation will fix it. But he doesn't realize nothing changes if the pattern stays. His savings haven't moved in months. He avoids looking. He tells himself it's temporary. He doesn't see that this is the system working exactly as designed. Joe thinks debt arrives suddenly, like a crash. But it doesn't. It arrives quietly, disguised as convenience, as comfort, as just this once. Tomorrow morning, Joe will wake up. Same alarm, same scroll, same coffee, still believing he's in control. Not knowing the real cost isn't money, it's momentum. And he's already losing it. 3 months later, nothing dramatic has happened. Joe still goes to work, still pays rent, still orders food. On the surface, life looks unchanged. But underneath, the floor is slowly sinking. Joe finally checks his savings. It's lower. Not empty, just thinner. He can't point to one reason. There was no big purchase, no emergency, no crisis. Just hundreds of tiny withdrawals. This is what makes it dangerous. There's nothing to blame. Joe tells himself he needs more money. That's the obvious conclusion. Everyone thinks that. So he picks up extra hours, starts a side hustle, grinds harder. He's proud of himself. He feels responsible. But something strange happens. His income goes up. So does his spending. Here's the invisible rule nobody warns you about. When your income rises, your standards quietly rise with it. Joe starts ordering better food, upgrades his phone, takes more Ubers, buys nicer clothes. Not luxuries, quality of life. It feels earned. He worked for it. Psychologists call this lifestyle creep, but Joe just calls it progress. Now Joe is making more money, but saving the same, sometimes less. It doesn't make sense to him. He thought earning more would create breathing room. Instead, it created new habits. more subscriptions, more convenience, more pressure to keep up. The bucket got bigger, so did the holes. Joe doesn't realize he's living inside a leaky system. He keeps pouring more water in without ever fixing the leaks. Around this time, Joe's credit card balance starts climbing. Not exploding, climbing. He uses it for groceries when cash feels tight, for deliveries when he's tired, for emergencies that used to fit inside his checking account. He plans to pay it off later. He always does. Until later becomes never. Here's the part nobody talks about. Debt doesn't feel scary at first. It feels helpful. It smooths rough weeks. It fills gaps. It pretends to be support until it isn't. Joe still doesn't feel broke. He feels stretched. He feels behind. He feels like he's running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. He notices he's checking his balance more often. He stops opening certain emails. He avoids conversations about money. Not consciously, instinctively. This is what financial stress actually looks like. Not panic, avoidance. Joe starts skipping small joys. He cancels plans, says no to birthdays, avoids weekends out. He tells himself he's being responsible, but it doesn't feel empowering. It feels lonely. And here's the cruel twist. Joe is doing everything society told him to do. Work harder, earn more, stay productive. But nobody taught him how money behaves under pressure. Nobody explained that exhausted people spend differently, that convenience has a compounding cost, that income without awareness just feeds the same cycle. Joe thought he had a money problem. What he actually has is a pattern problem. One night, lying in bed, Joe does the math. Not carefully, emotionally. He realizes something. If nothing changes, he's going to be like this forever. Working, spending, catching up, never quite getting ahead. That thought sits in his chest. Heavy. Not dramatic, just heavy. Joe doesn't cry. He doesn't panic. He stares at the ceiling. And for the first time, he wonders if this is what adulthood really is. And tomorrow morning, the alarm will ring. He'll get up, put on clean clothes, drink coffee, and step right back into the loop. Unless something breaks it. Nothing magical happens. There's no breakthrough morning, no viral productivity routine. Joe doesn't wake up rich. He wakes up curious. That's the difference. It starts with a receipt. He's waiting for coffee. The machine is slow, so he scrolls through last month's transactions, not to punish himself, just to look. And for the first time, he groups them. Not by category, by feeling. Stress spending, convenience spending, boredom spending, reward spending. Suddenly, the pattern becomes obvious. Almost every dollar he regrets came from a moment of fatigue, not desire, not necessity, fatigue. Joe realizes something uncomfortable. He hasn't been making money decisions. He's been making emotional decisions that look like money decisions. This is the part nobody teaches you. Budgets don't fail because people are bad. They fail because life is loud, because brains get tired, because convenience is engineered, because modern living quietly monetizes exhaustion. Joe sees now that every small treat had a twin cost, the money and the momentum. Each time he chose comfort, he delayed progress. Not dramatically, fractionally, but fractions compound. He thinks back to all the times he said, "I'll start next month." There was always a next month, until there wasn't. Joe finally understands. He wasn't trapped by income. He was trapped by invisible habits, by default settings, by never stopping long enough to notice. This doesn't turn him into a different person. He still gets tired. He still likes takeout. He still lives in the same apartment. But now something has shifted. Awareness. Joe starts catching himself mid-scroll, mid-order, mid-I deserve this. Not perfectly, just occasionally. And that's enough, because noticing is interrupting. Interrupting is power. Here's the real lesson. Money isn't just math. It's psychology. It's energy management. It's environment. It's whether your life is designed for reflection or reaction. Joe doesn't suddenly save thousands. He creates space. A pause before tapping order. A breath before opening Amazon. A moment before reaching for the card. And slowly, his money starts obeying his intentions again. If this story helped you see your own patterns even a little, take a second to like the video. It helps us reach other average Joes who think they're alone in this. Joe realizes something else. He doesn't need more motivation. He needs fewer defaults. He doesn't need a new personality. He needs awareness of the old one. Most people never get this moment. They assume stress is normal. Debt is normal. Being tired all the time is normal. They live inside systems they never examine. Joe almost did too. Now, when he sees someone grabbing fast food after work, he doesn't judge. He understands. He knows that person isn't weak. They're depleted. Joe isn't special. He didn't beat the system. He simply noticed it. And that's rare, because nobody warns you that modern life is designed to drain you quietly, that convenience costs more than money, that comfort can delay your future, that tiny habits write big stories. Average Joe still wakes up to the same alarm, still drinks coffee, still goes to work. But now he's awake inside his own life. And that's where real change begins. Not with hustle, not with motivation, with awareness. If any part of Joe's story felt familiar, like the video. It really helps this reach more people living the same quiet struggles. And I'd love to hear from you. Comment the most relatable moment for you personally. If you want more human money stories like this, subscribe to the channel. It genuinely helps the channel grow, and it motivates me to make even better stories for you in the future. Thanks for being here.